The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Steve Austin Show. I got a humdinger for you today, so if you're driving down the road, make sure you got your seatbelt on. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 150,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature and featuring audio versions of many New York Times bestsellers. Ain't that something? Go down the road and somebody can read a book to you. That's something I need to check into because I'm real bad about reading books. And speaking about this Audible.com thing, hey, maybe I ought to check into it because, hey, check it out. Me and my wife just got a brand new RV. About a year and a half ago, we sold our RV after some mechanical issues, a blowout on I-10 where we almost met death and destruction. Somehow, some way. Surviving this crash and getting the RV fixed. Anyway, we sold it, and we've been doing our research to buy a new one, and we finally went out to the RV show here in Southern California and pulled the trigger on a new one. And I'll talk more in depth and detail about the rig once we receive it, but it's just what we wanted. It's a lot smaller rig than the last one we had, and I'm looking forward to getting in that thing, loading it all up, re-rigging it, putting all of our stuff in there, and heading down the road to South Texas. It's deer season, folks, and if you need a damn good scope for deer season, you can do yourself a favor by getting a good one. The best that money can buy at this price point is my 4x12x50 Meopta scope, the same exact scope I have on my number one hunting rig, the same exact scope that my buddy Ted Fowler has on his number one hunting rig at the Broken Skull Ranch. Go to bsrscope.com. Pull the trigger, no pun intended, on a hell of a scope. It's going to be interesting driving all the way down to Texas. It's going to be my maiden voyage in this RV. Now, Kristen and the rest of the dogs are going to stay home. It's going to be myself and Hershey. Hershey riding shotgun, Hershey navigating, camping on the side of the road. And we're going to make a little detour on this trip down to Texas. Normally, when I'm driving my RV, I'll make it in 2.5 days. If I'm just in the SUV, it's a day and a half because I'll get 1,000 miles in the first day, 500 the second day, and we're there. On an RV, you can't quite travel that fast. And hey, it's recreational vehicle. You got to throw some recreation in that equation somehow, some way. Me being the type A personality that I am, always in a hurry, destination-oriented, I'm going to try to take a chill pill and relax on this trip. But we've got a scheduled detour on this trip. On this trip, I'm going to pull over and talk to my boys in San Angelo, Texas, the Lost Lonely Boys. Many of you have heard of them. 3 badass brothers who are musicians who lay down Texican rock and roll. Their debut album, Heaven, they won a Grammy Award back in the day. I'm going to pull over. We're going to go in the studio. We're going to record some audio whoop-ass. Me and the gang just kind of shooting the breeze and having a good time and laughing and joking about music, wrestling, life, cars, and everything else. I'm looking forward to talking to the Lost Lonely Boys. I'm really looking forward to talking to my guest today, Will Sasso. I'm at the studios here at 316 Gimmick Street, awaiting for the arrival of this young comedic actor who kicked ass in the Three Stooges, the 2012 edition. I watched that movie last night, laughed my butt off. I really dig the Three Stooges. I'm a big fan from way back. I used to watch the Three Stooges every single day before I went to school. Will Sasso pulled off the character Curly to perfection, and that's the bottom line. Hey, we're going to take a pause for the cause, have a few words from some of my sponsors. I appreciate you guys who support the show. I appreciate you going to steveaustinshow.com and clicking on that Amazon banner, because when you shop and when you buy something, it kicks back a little love to help us support the show and to keep this thing on the air for free. Will Sasso is coming up. Word from my sponsors. All right, sitting here, Will Sasso. Will, welcome to the crib.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Steve.
How you doing, man? It's been a long time since I've seen your
I'm
ass.
good. Yeah, it's been a while.
When did we do Mad TV?
That would have been I think that was 2001 or 2002. I think it was 2002.
And then when did you do Monday Night Raw?
I did your show in 2002. Yeah.
Right.
So it would have been the same couple weeks there where I came on and pretended to be you.
Dude, how you getting along out here?
I'm doing okay.
How long have you been out here in Los Angeles?
I've been here around 17 years.
And you were born and raised in Canada.
I'm originally from a small town called Ladner, which is outside of Vancouver, British Columbia.
So how does that work, just from like a work visa standpoint, or how does that work?
Yeah, I got the work visa first. I'd been working as an actor since I was like, a teenager in Canada. And then when I was like 20, I came out here and started working and got a visa, and then, ended up moving out here. And then, you got the green card, and then now I'm a citizen of the States.
So 17 years?
Yeah.
You dig it though, right?
I love it. Yeah, I love LA.
What do you like about it?
Well, I always say when LA becomes challenging because the business is insane and it's a bunch of douchebags and there's 4 million people just sort of rammed together and a million of them are jerks. No, actually about 400, maybe 300 to 400,000 of them, but that's a lot of jerks.
Right.
It's every cheerleader from every high school who's not the best actress in high school, but the loudest. She's here. And then every tool, from drama club. He's here. But I always say, well, I live in Southern California.
Right.
Which is beautiful. You can go, 2 hours that way, you're in Big Bear in the mountains. You go right here, you're at the ocean, and so there's so many great things about LA. You just got to get out of your house and forget that you're be fortunate to be in the business, but
Are you in Hollywood?
I'm in Los Feliz.
Okay.
You know what that is? It's like the Griffith Park Observatory.
Yeah. How'd you end up out there? Because if you've been here for 17 years, you kind of made the rounds into the different neighborhoods. How'd you end up out there?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first got here, I had an apartment in the Valley because it was safe, and then I lived all over Hollywood because whatever, and then I ended up buying a house out in Los Feliz like about 11 years ago.
What's the vibe out there? Because like here in the marina, it's a little bit different than Hollywood, a little bit different than Studio City. Everything kind of changes a little bit.
Los Feliz is nice, and a lot of people are moving out there. The architecture is great. There's a bunch of great homes, and I got I love my place. I got my place, and it's it's a nice house and stuff. And it's mellow. The streets are a little wider. It's not like Hollywood. Hollywood to me it's really something else. The energy is really. Everyone's trying to get somewhere at the exact same time and no one's going in the same direction.
Right.
So it's a real mess. I mean, it's really a mess. I just can't, you go there, you run into town to do whatever, you're doing work, you're shooting something, whatever. But to me, I just got to get a little bit out of town, even though I'm not totally out of town.
Right.
Where you are here is not totally out of town.
Right. Hey, man, so you come here from basically Vancouver, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with the stupid things that happen out here? I've been out here 10 years, and I'm just going to do a gig in Culver City, come back and talk to you.
Yeah.
And, people driving while they're texting. It's one of my things that just eats me up.
Yeah.
And then the guy in the Prius beside me trying to run me off the road because he wanted to get in my lane.
Right.
And he wouldn't use his blinker to do it. And there's
Right.
a guy in the Jaguar in front of me. He's texting while
Right.
driving, and you got the people on the corner.
Right.
They've got their phones right up to their face. They
Right.
won't look when the little green pedestrian
Right,
sign,
right,
the
right,
white
right.
pedestrian sign says go ahead and walk. They won't even look both ways because they're too busy texting. It's these little bitty things that just eat me up.
Have you noticed now that the cops are texting?
No.
No, I've seen that.
Really?
Where you're at an intersection and the cop won't get off the line in the other lane because he's on his phone. So he can't even bust someone for being on their phone because he's on his phone.
It chaps my
Well,
ass.
I got to ask you though, how the heck do you? I mean, you're the Texas rattlesnake. How do you not just beat the snot out of somebody every day?
Well, here's an interesting thing. I was going down to the studio today to do some voiceovers, and once I got there, Hershey, my chocolate lab, goes everywhere with me.
Mm-hmm.
I let her out to do her business, and she took a dump.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always have a little plastic shopping bag with me that I save in my center console because as a responsible dog owner and living in the city,
Right.
you always pick up your dog's mess. So I picked it up, tied a knot in it.
Right.
So when I was driving home,
Right.
if somebody was going to cut me off, I was ready to let something fly, Will. It's tough. I was in the back of a car one time riding to a gig, and a limo driver kept getting cut off and messed over. And finally I asked him, I said, dude, how do you maintain your sanity?
Right.
Because I said it would get on my nerves. And he said, I'm just a professional.
Right.
I'm getting paid to do this, and I don't take it personal.
Right.
But sometimes, when you got these idiots sitting there texting, I take it personal.
Yeah.
Some of these people will just sit there and watch the person text and will not honk their horn.
Oh, that's the other
I'll
thing.
get on a horn quick.
Absolutely.
You?
Absolutely. I'll lean on the horn.
Yeah.
I do that obnoxious. Well, it's like this. Here's the law. The law is, for instance, the law states that if someone's crossing the street, you can't enter the street until that person is safely on the sidewalk. Conversely, if someone is not getting through the lane or getting through the intersection, I will lean on the horn until the end of their back bumper is out of that intersection. I think that's just fair.
Right.
We got the horns for a reason, right? It's already loud it's already loud here, so might as well. Right? Yeah, I'll honk. I got no problem. I won't yell. I don't like to yell at people when they're driving, but I'll hit the horn a few times so that it just goes which is even more annoying, or just lean on it because it's more about satisfying me. I need to feel okay.
But here's the thing that eats me up when I'm sitting there in my truck waiting, and you get the pedestrian light, and these people are just lollygagging across the crosswalk.
Right.
The light changes,
Right.
and they're in or you're trying to make a right-hand turn, for instance, and they're in no hurry to get across there, and they're giving it that little shuffle step to almost really put a stick up your ass and piss you off. It's almost like, come on, man. I mean, in the name of your own personal safety, get your ass across the crosswalk.
We got the pedestrian right-of-way law in California, so they can take as long as they want. They can smoke a J and text while they're doing it.
Dude,
and the cops won't notice because they're texting too, maybe smoking J's.
In Texas, we put these big-ass bumpers on the front of our trucks. And
the brush guard.
Pedestrians are a little bit more leery out there. Because they don't get all the, it's a different system.
Yeah, it's not the fiberglass bumper of a Toyota Prius. It's a brush guard that's meant to take out a deer if necessary.
Exactly.
Right.
And protect the vehicle.
Right.
So we're here. You've been here for 17 years. I've been kind of able to finally, I have my hobbies that I like to do.
Yeah.
I'll put my target right up there in my front yard. I'll shoot my bow in the front yard.
Nice.
I got a shooting range I go to. I go to the gym a half mile away. In your spare time, when you're not working, what do you do to occupy your time? I know you do a lot of writing and stuff like that, but just for downtime,
for total
hobbies,
downtime,
what do you do?
Well, I like to fish when I can.
Out here, where?
Well, Big Bear, you can go to Big Bear Lake. And, they load the lake with trout, so it's nothing, it's not too, and there's some bass in there. So it's nothing too huge. But, a lot of times I go back to Vancouver and just mellow out and literally hang out with my parents and a few of my friends and do nothing. But out here in LA, I mean, the beach, surfing, I suck at surfing, but I boogie board. You got that. I've tried to hike every single trail out here, and you'll never get through it, which is great.
You catching any weirdos on those hiking trails? Because there's some strange people out there.
Sure. Well, it depends where you're hiking. If you're hiking in Hollywood, like we said, it's the same thing that's happening on the street, but now it's in yoga pants and it's walking up the hill. So or the chick or the weird dude who maybe even weighs a little less than a chick is texting and smoking a J up the hill. But there's some weirdos. Well, where I live. There's Griffith Park right behind the house, and so you can go hiking in there. I mean, you can run through there butt naked. Nobody will ever see you. So you don't see a whole lot of weirdos, except for yourself, because you're naked hiking, which is not advisable.
When you're naked, do you have a backpack on this hiking excursion?
Absolutely.
In case you're to become dehydrated.
Right. In case I was to become dehydrated, I got some jerky treats if I have to ward off mountain lion or a pack of cougars or, some coyotes. I can throw a little something. I've got my little switchblade, 2.5 inch legal,
He was talking about a switchblade there, folks. A switchblade. Hey, man, how long you been, how'd you get, I met you at Mad TV. I know you're a big fan of pro wrestling.
Absolutely.
When did you start watching wrestling back in the day?
Oh, man. I was just having this conversation with a friend because a little while ago, because we were talking about how things influence you as a kid and what turns you on to stuff. For instance, I remember being a little kid and seeing in a storefront window a picture of E.T., the extraterrestrial, next to Michael Jackson. Right. And I was like, who's that guy with E.T.? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you get into Michael Jackson.
Right.
So for me, it was really, when I was a little kid, I got to tell you, it wasn't until it was really, WWE, WWF at the time that kind of brought me into it. And then you get into, then it's always your friend's older brother or something that has or there was a video store that had all the NWA stuff,
right?
And then you get, and then you realize you can get Pro Wrestling Illustrated in the corner store.
Yeah.
But before that, it was really, I was watching the A-Team as a kid because as a kid you were watching for me, I was watching Dukes of Hazzard, A-Team, and shows like that. And when Mr. T started to have a presence in, I mean, we all couldn't wait for Rocky 3.
Right.
So Hulk Hogan is in Rocky 3 as Thunderlips.
Yeah.
And that, you're just taken by this character. Like, who's this huge guy who's beating the snot out of Sylvester Stallone and then shaking his hand afterwards? That kind of, and then his pairing with Mr. T, and that starts showing up. And then it's on Saturday mornings before, I believe it was before WrestleMania 1. It was like really kind of a thing to bring kids in. It was as much happenstance, that whole thing that was happening at that point with the WWE and the whole rock and wrestling connection and stuff. And a lot of it, I would imagine, calculated on Vince's part, it had to have been. I don't know if he knew the risk would pay off, but everyone in my town was like, what is this? And then I started watching. Then I realized I love this more than anything. I love the wrestling more than, forget the A-Team. I don't care about the A-Team. It was all about, Hulk Hogan and all those guys and loving to hate Roddy Piper and all that stuff. And then you start going back and you realize, then you start getting these big, huge VHS tapes and watching, Ric Flair and breaking Dusty Rhodes' leg. And you're just like, what is this? And
diabolical.
Absolutely. And like, it was like, that was so off limits when you were a kid, because the WWF had a real sort of a clean image then. And then the NWA had, there was the scaffold matches with the, the Rock and Roll Express.
Night of the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
86. Yeah.
There you go. So that was, and I would have been like 11 years old reading Pro Wrestling Illustrated, seeing their, the bloody faces in black and white in the middle of the magazine.
And of course, back then, it was real.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. If you believed anything, you believed it was real.
Absolutely, it was real. I mean, if any older kid tried to tell me that it wasn't real, I would beat the crap out of him. I remember when it was Piper's Pit before WrestleMania 3, and they're just getting ready for the match, and they had the Piper's Pit where Andre grabbed Hulk's shirt and ripped it off, and he ripped the cross. The crucifix came off. My good buddy Phil, who lives up in Canada, he's a huge wrestling fan, and he's been with me to a couple WrestleManias and stuff. I mean, we called each other right away. We're just like, what is this? Andre's turning his back on Hulk. And then there was that weird Saturday night's main event where like the title was in limbo, and DiBiase wanted to buy it, and Andre was going to help him and beat up Hogan, and Andre had the belt for a minute. It was 1987. It was right before WrestleMania 3. I cried. I'm 12 years old. I cried.
You were hooked.
Hulk was the champ for 4 years at that point, and to see, like, that's my entire history of watching wrestling, and he doesn't have the belt. And then the next Saturday you're watching him, he doesn't have the belt. I'm watching Maple Leaf Wrestling, and there's no, what? I was unnerved. It was like losing a loved one. It was that weird for me. So I was totally hooked.
Right now, North America is the center of the soccer universe, hosting the biggest sporting event in the world. 48 nations competing for world status, and our Stars and Stripes are off to a great start in their group stage matches. And BetOnline has you covered with all the updated odds, player props, and contests for the whole tournament. In between games, be sure to visit the casino and poker rooms for more Vegas-style action. Enjoy the freedom of online gaming at BetOnline, where the action moves with you and every moment is yours. Bet on at BetOnline.
So what did you think about now looking back, what did you think about the NWA versus WWF at the time?
Well,
were you more of that WWF guy?
Yeah, because there was not a lot of NWA on TV. You couldn't get it.
It was a little bit more regional back then. I mean, you catch glimpses here or there.
Right.
And it was, still territory days.
Absolutely. It was still.
I would go to different places, and sometimes I hadn't even seen the guys. I'd heard about them.
Right.
Seen them in Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Right.
In the, 1 through 10 rankings. You heard about them, and then all of a sudden you get a chance to see them work.
Yeah.
But for me, I kind of, always went through my phases. WWF was probably some of the last stuff that I got, along with AWA. A lot of Mid-South Power Pro done by Bill Watts in Oklahoma, World Class Championship Wrestling, Houston Wrestling. Of course, NWA was kind of my bread and butter, man.
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Express, going to get some Midnight Express, and
Right.
Four Horsemen, running roughshod over everybody and just
Yeah.
getting a ton of heat. Magnum TA coming into his prime.
Yeah.
And just some great storylines. Were you a guy that really just bought into the different characters? Was it the storylines that grabbed a hold of you? What was it?
I think it was both. The storylines obviously back then they gestated for longer. They had a much longer time between pay-per-views, so you could have a feud going all year.
The way things are these days with
Yeah.
television, social media,
Right.
and the whole, everything is rush, hurry up.
Yeah.
It's hard to let things play out like that anymore.
Yeah.
Back in, I mean, it just seemed like an angle would last forever.
Yeah.
Finally, when you get to that payoff, there was a personal issue there.
Absolutely.
And the heel had a ton of heat, and you wanted to see that baby face get his, make his revenge, or get that belt back.
Yeah.
And you had to go see it.
I think for that reason, I sort of enjoyed the storylines more than the characters because, especially as a young kid watching, again, mostly what was on TV was WWE, the old WWF at the time, versus, NWA, which you would just read about, or you would be behind the times. And in my area, because it wasn't on TV, you'd have to get the VHS tapes.
Right.
And there was one place in the middle of town that had them. And you would go and you'd get Starrcade and go home and watch it. And it would be like watching wrestling on the moon because it was like totally different.
Yeah.
No mention of the guys you're used to seeing. And then, of course, WWF at the time has, they got guys like, how do you make, it's like, they're appealing to kids kind of, but it was like, you'd have a guy like Outback Jack. Well, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like kids right away are like, oh, like it doesn't matter really of course in the end it matters who the character is, but it doesn't matter at the beginning because they never take off. And in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion as a fan, they never take off in the version that they're pitched and brought on. They take off in what they become later.
Right.
I mean, we talk all day about that with you and how you came into different federations and then what eventually, it just being you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, man, it's almost like watching some of my favorite, metal bands from when they first started to what they ended up becoming.
Right.
It's all that feeling things along as you go, finding your strengths, realizing your weaknesses, playing upon those strengths, and morphing into, in my case, more of who and what I am, just turned up to 10.
There you go.
But man, it's like, probably along the same lines as your career in acting and comedy has gone.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually it's kind of true. When you're younger, you're sort of, look, I started doing this when I was 15 and you're kind of doing what you're told. And I was really fortunate very early to have a chance to do my own stuff. And
now, how do you mean being forced to do what you're told?
well, you're an actor.
Right.
I mean, an actor for hire. Here's the lines. Do it and make it shine and make it real and make it
so
work.
you just stuck to, hey, do it just like it says.
Right.
And that's, same thing with me back in the day. I was strictly mechanic trying to learn the ins and outs and not venture anywhere from an exploratory character, type thing, but just do the brass tacks.
You
don't know.
Right, because you don't know, and there's that unknown, and you're trusting your superiors because they know how to do this. They've been there, and you haven't been. So the only things I would throw in were things that I really wanted to do. Like, my idols are like John Candy and Bill Murray, and if there's a little flair, a little something John Candy would have done as a teenager, I would throw that into something. And here's a look Steve Martin would have given, that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's their material. You're trying to make it shine, and you're presenting what you're told to present.
Right.
I ended up on a teen drama, like one of these weepy teen dramas in Canada. It was sort of like a Canadian My So-Called Life that I did for a few years as a teenager, and 20 actually, I was doing it. And with that, the character started getting funny, and my character had some funny things. And they were like, well, we don't know comedy. You seem to want to do comedy, so you can rewrite the funny stuff. And they really let me, that was a huge tool to be able to try out my own voice on a real television show, on a nationally televised show. At a young age. And then, I started Mad TV when I was pretty young. I was 22 when I started there.
Hey, but when did you know that you wanted to be, what should I say, comedian or an actor?
Well, I guess both. Like, I started with, acting and comedic acting, and it's kind of where it is.
Were you always funny as a kid?
Yeah, I guess class clown and that whole thing. And from the very young age, I was watching, stuff I shouldn't have been watching, SCTV, Saturday Night Live, staying up late, Monty Python, stuff like that, and just watching old stuff. And had formulated that opinion of myself before I even knew it. And I was in elementary school, and you want to talk about wrestling? This is literally what we used to do. I told my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Hughes, I said, we need to have a drama block once a week. We need to be able to do sketches and skits. And two of the things that my aforementioned buddy Phil and I used to do, one of the things we would do is the Canadian corner, the Great White North, which is the old Bob and Doug McKenzie bit from SCTV. Yeah. We would sort of recreate that and do our own, take those characters. I was Doug, he was Bob, and we would do the Great White North, just rip off their bit and do it, but do our own version. Another thing we would do was, I'm not even joking here, we'd cut promos. It would literally be like, it would, just be like, Phil would be, Gene Okerlund, and I'd be Hulk, or he'd be, Hillbilly Jim, and I'd be Sir Lord Alfred Hayes, just doing interviews and weird things like that. We would just and I started impersonating wrestlers back then. Really, my first impersonations were of wrestlers because.
Who was your first one?
Man, I mean,
you got to have a good Hogan.
I was doing Hogan, for
Give
sure.
me a little Hogan.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I'm here with Stone Cold Steve Austin, dude. It's the Broken Skull Ranch, brother. We're here. We're doing podcasting, dude. We got mics, brother. We got headsets, dude. We're here at the Broken Skull Ranch. He sets his bullseye up right here in the front yard, brother. You want to go all the way back, dude? You couldn't get NWA on television, brother.
Anyway,
but I've got to ask you: are you still taking the vitamins and saying your prayers, Hulk?
Let me tell you something about the 3 commandments of Hulkamania, brother. You got to say your prayers. You got to eat your vitamins. And you got to train, brother. A lot of people forget that part. Nowadays, they're just walking down the street, texting, smoking that J, brother. Put that stuff away. Get some vitamins, dude. You got to, hey, come over here, Awful Alfred. You got to try this shake, brother. It's got your eggshells. It's got your protein. Get over here, Mean Gene.
But I was doing that as a kid. I was doing, I remember the, Bobby Heenan and the Islanders stole British Bulldog's dog, Matilda. Yeah. And which was such a weird, as a kid, I was like, this is a great angle. Yeah. Because I was sucked in. I was like, you can't take their dog.
But you weren't thinking it's a great angle. You were thinking they really stole the dog, right?
Which is why it was a great angle for an 11-year-old. And I just remember them, and God bless both of them, okay? But the promo they cut with, you got Dynamite and Davey Boy, feigning that they're sad, man. I mean, even as 11 years old, I was like, there's something, I don't quite buy this, because you got Davey Boy, literally, Dynamite's got his hand in his hand like this, and he doesn't even know what to say. And Davey Boy's like, Matilda, we love that little dog. Bring the dog back, Bobby, and bring it back. We love that dog like a child. Bring it back. But someone gave him a note before they went on, put your head in your hand, right? That'll show that you're sad. So you got the British Bulldogs with their heads in their hands.
You're killing me.
But, as a kid, you're buying it because it's what you're told is happening. But I was like, what the, so we do that one. Bring the dog back. We love that dog. Bring it back, Bobby. And then the Islanders, bring it back. Bring the dog back. The promo was just them saying, bring the dog back for 2.5 minutes. We'd do that. I would do, Ventura, well, better now because I'm older, but yeah, would you say the sayings your close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, Monsoon. I'll give credit where credit is due, Monsoon. It was everything had to end with Monsoon, and then you sounded like him.
They were great together. That was
they were fantastic.
1-2 punch.
Yeah, Pandemonium, Jess. You
got a superstar, Billy Graham.
Oh, I couldn't do. I don't even remember. He had a pretty normal voice.
No, he would kind of lisp like Dusty Rhodes. Yeah.
He did lisp, but superstar Billy Graham. He did sound like Dusty.
Well, that's a little bit more Dusty.
Yeah.
So then you got
hard times. You don't know hard times. Hard times when you go back to you go to the warehouse, you go to the plant, and they say ain't no more work. You don't know hard times, Ric Flair. We do, Randy Savage. Oh yeah. Oh, let me tell. Mm-hmm. It was always. I remember talking to Triple H about it, years later when we did Mad TV, and Triple H came and did Mad TV, and we were joking around about impersonations. We shot a little something for WWE TV, and he said the thing you got to do is that Savage would do is thinking, which he told me was just him thinking.
Yeah.
What the Ricky Steamboat cup of coffee in the big time.
Well, what is that, Randy? What is that, Randy Savage?
This is Ricky Steamboat's cup of coffee in the big time. Dig it!
The other thing about us sitting here watching you do these impersonations, and when you're doing them, your facial features change. I mean, you look like Will Sasso,
right?
In the vein that you look a little bit similar to me, but your voice, your face is morphing into these people you're impersonating. And I was talking to a guy, Carrie Kasem's boyfriend is a sound actor, voice actor.
Okay.
And when he was starting to lay some Pacino on me and some Sylvester Stallone, and we're good. Yeah. And as he was doing it, I mean, he would change his face to look like Sly. You got a Sly?
No, not really.
Yeah, but you change your facial features to make that sound.
Well, it's almost like your face will tell your voice what you're doing. You know, like Hulk Hogan always had his eyes wide open, brother. And I always joke around when I do it with my friends where I go, you gotta, and now for the listener at home, I'm throwing my hand out to the right, my other hand out to the left, and then one down the middle. You gotta put your hand out here to the right, brother. And then you talk about the other thing, you put your hand out here to the left, and then you put your hand down the center, dude. So he talks in threes. You know, it's like, the physicality is so much a part of, because as a viewer, when you take it in, if you're someone who impersonates voices, you take in the whole thing. Right. So you almost need those physicalities to bring it back out. Like, you know, Macho Man had a specific thing that he would do with his hands. His finger was against his thumb and his pinky would come up. You know, that or my good buddy. Do you know Tommy Blacha? He wrote for the WWE for a minute.
No.
He was a story guy. Interesting story, that dude, because he was writing on Conan O'Brien. Vince came in as a guest, said, well, you know, we're always looking for writers and stuff, and he realized, I got to do this. He's a huge wrestling fan. So Tommy's a good buddy of mine. He created that the heavy metal cartoon Metalocalypse.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll talk wrestling all the time and stuff, and he was doing Harley Race for me because he was talking about, and Harley Race had his pinky up. Yeah. You know, like, had his pinky up and, you know, was let me do, I can't even do a Harley Race, but
Harley always talks about like this.
Yeah.
He never raises his voice.
There you go.
So you have to lean in real close. Here's a story. Harley had caught a rattlesnake and sewed his mouth closed and put him in the back of a guy's car.
What?
As a rib. It was a payback. So, you know, when Harley Race says something, it is true because that's just the way life is. So I had to call him on it. I said, Harley, how did you catch the rattlesnake? I baited him with a left and hooked him with the right. If Harley says it's true, but that's and if he was going over a finish, he would be lacing up his boots, and then he would grab his cigarette with these two fingers, put the cigarette down, and continue lacing his boots.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Coming forward like that. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, the physicality definitely. I mean, all the kids in the playground back then were, you know, I mean, and now you watch TV, like, you know, I remember I watched that. It was really interesting for me to see guys that are, you know, now have been WWE superstars over the past several years who are my age and grew up watching the same stuff I watched. So when I watch there's that Ultimate Warrior DVD that the company put out a little while back, and you've got Jericho and Edge and Christian and everybody going, Hulk Hogan. Like, that's what we were doing on the playground. Yeah. And you would imagine Edge and Christian would be doing the same thing, joking around with their friends, like, you know, Hulk Hogan, you know, like, open up the captain's door, Hulk Hogan. That stuff. And
yeah, but you know, think about it. You know, Warrior got a lot of crap for his interviews, but here's the thing about a great promo or a great interview. If you believe that, or if it enhances that character, that's a successful promo.
Totally.
Like, a lot of guys ripped apart the content of those promos, and some of them are a little wacky. But, you know, I mean, the guy drew money.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you heard him talk, sometimes you're like, man, it sounds a little crazy, but that's the Ultimate Warrior. So it was very true to who and what he was. So I dug it.
Yeah? Yeah. I think back then, I mean, look, the company wanted to put it on this guy. And it was like, so I just remember, like, as a kid going, what is he talking about? Yeah. But everything else was so strong that it was like you had to believe it. And everything was so crazy. He's got the blown out hair and every color in the spectrum hanging off him in tassels and face paint. And so it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, look beyond the Quasar, Hulk Hogan. I talked to the warriors on the mountain. It's like just 3 minutes of gibberish, and it didn't matter.
No, it didn't.
I mean, I already believed that the Islanders, that Haku Tama and Bobby Heenan stole Matilda. So I'm pretty much going to believe anything after that.
What was your, do you have any recollections of your favorite match?
Oh, man. Well, I remember as a teenager, me and my buddies got the ladder match. We rented that VHS tape over and over again, the Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon ladder match.
Yeah, that was a crazy match. Awesome, off the charts.
That match was unbelievable. Some of the bumps that Shawn Michaels took were so, I mean, they were definitely Shawn Michaels, but they were also so comical. He pulled out so many comical, just the spitting in the air and his ham hanging out of the back of his trunks.
Which you can get away with at that certain level when you look at him. Yeah, are they over the top? But it's working because you're totally buying into it. If you guys can hear the sirens here, they're coming for Will Sasso.
Coming for me. We're here in Hollywood. That's the way it is.
Free. Talking to Will Sasso. Hey, you're on Twitter at Will Sasso.
Yeah.
What's the name of your website?
Oh, I got a website called hamfatter.com.
Yeah,
or you can go
come up
to
with hamfatter.com.
Oh, that was an interesting thing. It was actually my older brother who was really into branding and marketing and stuff who said, he goes like, well, you wouldn't call because I came up with the website like almost 10 years ago. Now it's just a dump site for my stuff. I haven't updated it in a while. But it's like, he went like, well, Tom Cruise comes out with a movie. He doesn't call it Tom Cruise.movie. I was like, oh, that's a good point. He's like, in the future, people won't name their websites yourname.com. That's just silly. Come up with something so that it doesn't represent just you. It's a thing that you can subscribe to or not, depending on where you are in your career. So there's my older brother, the weirdo. And so I called it ham fatter, which is a weird old term that now means ham. Like, oh, he's a ham. Right. He's a card. But I like that it was a word that no one knew. So there's that. There's also 10minutepodcast.com, which is where.
Tell me about the 10minutepodcast.com. To my listeners out there, a lot of my cats are new to this technology. I'm 6 months in this podcast, but I listen to your show. It's you and your buddies. Just call 10 Minute Podcast. Yeah. Now, why is it 10-minute podcast? Because sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 11 minutes and 37 seconds.
Right.
So why don't you call it the 10 minutes and change podcast?
That's not a bad idea, but the only reason it runs over is for ads.
Ads.
So the actual podcast itself is always just 10 minutes.
So you guys are always doing like a skit or a little gimmick thing going.
Yeah.
Do y'all sit there and create that and write that, or you guys just sitting there with a couple of mics riffing?
We just riff. I mean, it's myself and my good buddies Brian Callen and Chris D'Elia, who are both actors and comedians, and we've been doing it for about a year and a half, and a lot of the shows are just based on us just ripping each other. And, these are two of my best friends, so we can be totally honest and open, and it's sort of a version of talk radio that you're not used to, where it's like guys really laying into each other. And the fans of the show have really taken it on, and they call Brian Callen Bit Killer Jones because he'll mess something up, and we call him Bit Killer Jones, and they tweet at us. We got the Twitter for the podcast, and they're like, hey, at 10 Min Pod, you BKJ, sure BKJ'd it up, and this whole thing. And there's those, and then there'll be ones where, oh, well, Will's not here today, but sitting in is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Which is you.
Yeah, hi, this is Arnold here, And I just want to hang out with you guys. I don't want to do, talk about the movies and the, Dylan, you son of a bitch. I don't want to do that. I just want to hang here. So we do that, or we'll do we've had Hulk Hogan. We got to do that again. I did a thing with just Brian and I, with me as Hulk Hogan, where I literally don't let him talk. Yeah. And by the end of it, he's just, it's like, yeah, that's right. He's like, can I just ask you a question, Hulk? Yeah, go ahead, shoot, brother. Ask me a question, brother. There's something Hulk Hogan loves 4 things, brother. There's the training, the saying the prayers, eating your vitamins, and questions, brother. Ask me a question, dude. He's like, I will if you be quiet. So we'll just riff, and it's fun, and you can do whatever you want, really.
Now, how often does that drop? Once a week?
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. And been doing it a year and a half?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
So what did you guys just get together and say, hey, man, just go ahead and just throw something out there? Because
we wanted to do something together because the three of us have our own separate senses of humor away from each other, but then together we have a similar sense of humor with the three of us because we always rip on each other the same way. And so we had friends of ours going like, you guys got to do something together. And the three of us are going, we got to do, what do you want to do? And it's so hard to pitch a show and take it through. I've been developing television since I was on Mad TV,
right?
On the network level. And, you write a show, you develop a show, it goes through the pilot process, it doesn't go, and blah, blah, blah. Take all of those variables and introduce to that 3 separate guys with 3 separate careers to where Brian's doing his thing, Chris is doing his thing, they're on their own TV show, they're doing their own stuff. To get everyone together on a schedule where we're 3 grown men who have our own, it's impossible to aim high for that stuff unless you're making a movie and the movie's got a shot.
What do you mean aim high?
It's kind of hard
to put any more work into it.
It's hard to have the planets aligned to where you're doing it, on a TV show. Let's just say on a TV show on network or cable. To have those planets aligned to where it's the right idea and the network's behind it and they're gonna green light it and it's actually gonna end up on the air, which is a which is a really long shot nowadays, to have 3 guys who like, what if we're going through the process of developing and Chris is like, no, I got my other thing I got to do and I'm under contract there. And it's like, oh, we got to replace you? That messes everything up. Or we got to replace me or Brian. So it was like, what can we do? And the thought of podcasting came up and I was like, yeah, I want to do a podcast, but the 3 of us will never sit down for an hour and a half and record a whole, a thing like that, because again, it's 3 guys' schedules.
Yeah.
So it sort of came out of necessity, and not to say I came up with it, but I came up with it. And I remember I was just on the treadmill at the house, and I was watching TV, and I was on the treadmill. I don't even remember what gave me the idea, but I have a little laptop mount on my treadmill. All I remember is that I bought 10minutepodcast.com, the URL, before I got off the treadmill. So I was like, how come no one's thought of this? So it's just 10 minutes. We get together every 2-3 weeks. We record a few of them, and I release them twice a week. We got podcasts for weeks.
So how many shows you guys get together and record where? At each other's house, make the designated meeting spot?
Yeah, we do it at my house. I've got a little studio space in the bottom of the house, and they come over every 2-3 weeks, and we try to record 5, 6, 7 episodes, and we always have a rule where we get together and we just hit record. Like the first 2 or 3, it's like sometimes someone will come in, like Chris does a Jean-Claude Van Damme impersonation. It's really funny. And it's like, oh, I want to do Jean-Claude doing this. It's like, okay, well, let's save it. I have a couple characters. I have a black comedian named Shauna, who was a woman. People didn't even know it was me for a while. I have a character, this weird abstract character called Everybody's Dad, who just speaks from a fatherly, but he's everybody's dad. Yeah. So it's this abstract, well, Brian, you remember when you were a boy, I'd sit you on my lap and make you pancakes and give you a haircut. No, I don't remember that. You were not my dad. Well, I'm everybody's dad. And he slaps the guys, and I put in sound effects later. Yeah. And like, watch your mouth, and he's slapping them. But we just sit down and start recording.
Give me some Shauna.
Hey y'all, what's up? This is Shauna. She's sort of, I can't even say it really for your audience. Is this the Tuesday show? You don't want me to say what she says. She gets very blue very fast. Right. And she's like, hey y'all, I remember I saw Brian, first time I saw Brian on TV, on Mad TV, I fell out. I was like, oh, that's my baby Brian. That Brian. Hey baby, what's up, baby?
Well, when you guys get together, I listen to about 5 y'all shows.
Okay.
And to me, it's like the way I could equate it to, you see that you guys are real good friends, obviously a lot of chemistry, but you guys are just doing it to make the show good. It was almost like a wrestling match, because anytime my approach was to make the wrestling match good, not to shine or get all the attention, have an entertaining match. And that's what you guys all contribute to make a good show. Neither one of you is trying to hog too much to be selfish, is what I'm saying.
Well, if anyone's listening to my show, you know that Brian is definitely hogging the mic, and he needs to shut up. But yeah, it's true. Even when we're ribbing each other, it's like another guy is saying something. I remember when Three Stooges came out, we did a podcast, and Chris said, after the movie came out, he goes, hey, good job, man. I'm not joking. I thought for real, I thought it was going to make $12. And you did? Did it make more than $12? I'm like, Chris, stop it. Don't talk like it. $12, right? So you got to let the other guy. It's like taking a bump, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're weaving in and out of each other, and if Brian can keep his mouth shut long enough, we all get a chance to talk.
I'm talking to Will Sasso. We're talking about the Three Stooges. When I come back, take a word from our sponsors. Keep the show on the air for free. I'm talking to Will Sasso, at Will Sasso on Twitter. Coming back after these messages.
Hello, and welcome to Pluto Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, just stream it for free on Pluto TV, where all your blockbuster favorites are landing all summer long. Catch Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Fantastic.
The Matrix Trilogy.
Welcome to the real world.
Mean Girls.
Shut up.
Titanic.
I'm the king of the world.
And so much more. For showtimes, press nothing. They're free 24/7.
That is so fetch.
On Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
What if the stories of gods, angels, and ancient technology weren't myths, but memories of alien contact? On Ancient Aliens, we investigate the evidence, from mysterious ruins to strange celestial alignments, asking bold questions about humanity's origins. Could visitors from the stars have influenced our greatest civilizations? Journey into the unknown and challenge what you think you know about history in episodes like Secrets of the Sumerians, Mysteries of the Maya, or The Chosen. We are not alone. Download Ancient Aliens every Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Will, coming back now, I want to talk about the Three Stooges.
All right.
Because growing up back in the day, I am the biggest Three Stooges fan in the world. And I remember when I started seeing the trailers for the movie coming out in 2012, I didn't go see it. I'm real bad about seeing anything.
Right.
I get in trouble all the time.
I'm the same way.
You know,
I don't
horrible.
see stuff, yeah.
But anyway, I paid $7.99 last night to watch it on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So I could talk about the movie. And I loved it.
Oh, good.
And you kicked ass.
Oh, thanks, man.
As Curly.
Thank you.
But the guy,
Demontopoulos.
was great as Mo. And who was Larry?
That was Sean Hayes.
Sean Hayes. Now, how come there wasn't a Shemp? Because those were the three original Stooges?
That's right. Well, the three, I mean, you know, by the time they got to making the shorts, the Three Stooges were Mo, Larry, and Curly. Shemp was involved before Curly. Shemp is the oldest of the Howard brothers. It's Shemp, Mo, and Curly are brothers, and Larry Fine is not related. So the Three Stooges, I mean, the Stooges originally, it was a couple other guys, and Mo and Shemp and Ted Healy. It was Ted Healy and his Stooges on vaudeville. Then they brought in Larry Fine, and then it was just this rotating cast. And then Curly wanted to join, and before he was named Curly, well, he was named Babe. Yeah, his nickname was Anyway, so, but by the time they started making the shorts, it was Mo, Larry, and Curly. It was the youngest of the Howard brothers, Curly, and his older brother, Mo. And Shemp was not involved, and then when Curly fell ill and wasn't able to do it anymore, Shemp came in.
Now, you had to do a lot of research on these cats.
Yeah.
I've read about them a little bit back in the day. Man, when those dudes were doing the things that they did, now they were taking a lot of physical punishment.
Absolutely.
They were beating the hell out of each other.
Totally, yeah.
Now, how was that as far as, you know, in your research process and you're trying to find out, you know, who Curly is?
Yeah.
What kind of research did you do? I mean, because you nailed him dead on.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. I mean, I watched everything. I had already watched most of it just growing up. I'd seen most of it, but now you're watching it with a keen eye to where I've got to become this guy. You know, you're working on the impersonation, and you're the thing that sort of makes me the happiest is as far as portraying him is when I get a real Stooge fan, like an original Stooge fan. And for us, for the three guys doing it, for the Farrelly brothers and the writer Mike Cerrone, who grew up with the Farrellys, and those guys are the biggest Stooge heads in the world. Really the aim for the six of us was to have people believe this homage and understand that everything we did was the way they would have done it.
Right.
And so when I get an original Stooge fan, like someone, usually the first thing they say is, I didn't want to like it, but.
Right.
And they hit the little things that I did that they've never seen anybody do when they're impersonating Curly. Because I've seen people impersonate Curly over the years. It's just become a thing. Not too many people are doing it anymore, but you know, years ago people were still doing it. It was still in that sort of the pantheon of pop culture. So there were little things that he would do with his hands to where I would watch everyone do Curly and I go, well, his hands don't just go together like this. It's literally this finger's on top of that. And why is his hand there? Why is his left hand a little higher? Well, it's because his left hand goes out when he starts to talk.
Yeah.
Little tiny things. It's the same thing as Randy Savage. Where's his pinky finger?
Right.
Where does it end up by the end of the sentence each time? You know, these things are very specific and they are his tics. So you have to inherit the man's tics. Every single little thing he did. You know, there's these kids in the movie who played the young Stooges.
They were wonderful.
They were great, yeah. And Robert, the kid who played young Curly, you know, I was kind of coaching him one day. We're just kind of sitting around on set, and we were talking about it. And I said, Curly understands 1% of what's happening, and he understands it about 3 seconds after everyone else does. So,
great.
and that was helpful for me because I'd been doing it, but I hadn't said it out loud to anybody.
Right.
Because all my work is internal.
Yeah.
But now I'm teaching this kid, like, well, here's what. So I said, just have the pained, you know, confused look on your face with your hands together. And then when Mo says something, watch Mo, and Mo's saying, you know, to whoever the straight man is, like, listen, Toots, we got to blah, 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 blah. Watch Mo, and then after Mo finishes his point, wait a beat and a half, then turn to the other person and go, yeah, you know, like, yeah, that, you know, like, then understand.
Yeah.
Wait a beat and a half. Like, just wait. You always understand everything a second and a half late. And when you put these things together, all their different things, it is the Stooges. So the illusion that we're trying to create is when you watch the three of them, you get that flavor and you get that sense memory of the original Stooges. Because Chris is doing his thing, Sean's doing his thing, and I'm doing my thing. And the three of us are doing it at the exact same time. You know, when you put chocolate caramel and peanuts together, it's a specific chocolate bar,
right?
Whatever. So you get that flavor whether you know it or not.
How long did it take you guys to develop the chemistry you guys had? Because it was very good.
Oh, it wasn't long. Believe it or not, it wasn't long.
No, and those two guys were great in their own right.
Yeah.
But the one point I really enjoyed, there's a fight scene, so to speak. Y'all all standing there, and it's just when all the shenanigans start going, and it's the timing, the bend downs, and all those strikes. How many takes did it take you guys to film that stuff?
I know the scene you're talking about, where we're in the
great.
theater.
Yeah,
and
because
we're just
you got all the classic Three Stooges sound effects dubbed in, of course, because it's the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
And that's half the stuff that I love was the sound
and those
effects.
those are the original sound effects. Those are the original Columbia sound effects.
Yeah, and they're tremendous.
They're Fox, at first they had their own sound effects, and the boys were like, Pete and Bob were like, nah, it doesn't sound. We got to get the original. They went and got the original Columbia sound effects.
They had to pay for that?
Oh, absolutely. They paid a lot of money for that.
It was worth it.
It was absolutely worth it. Without that, it's like what? Because the other ones didn't sound right.
So how long did it take to film that scene?
Well, that scene took 3 or 4 takes of the whole thing, and then we punched in towards the end. You go in because usually you just stay wide. It's a 3-shot, and you have to be choreographed and just slap, ding, 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 bonk.
Yeah.
That was the only sequence that the 3 of us worked out before we flew to Atlanta to shoot the movie.
That's where it was filmed in Atlanta?
It was filmed in Atlanta, but we got together maybe 3-4 times here, like nearby in Santa Monica, and we're like, literally just opened the script and the Farrellys. We didn't know what we were going to do.
Right.
And we were all watching tons of it and going, here's a set piece, and we just started like a dance, putting together what you eventually saw, which didn't change much from that day in Santa Monica, where we all laughed like a bunch of kids and came up with that sequence of slapping and oh, Will, if you go down here, then Sean will reach across and slap me and blah, blah, blah. And it was that stuff.
Yeah.
And we did that for an afternoon. We shot it so we could remember it. And then the Farrellys were like, okay, we'll put that here. But usually we'd come in the morning and go, I'd say, oh, I want to do this bit that I saw. Like, I was just memory banking tons of bits. And I had,
Are you good about picking up that kind of information and retaining it and then doing it?
Yeah, I am. I'm sort of like really intense about that, almost too much so, where I'm like, no, it's got to be this specific thing. And I was also shooting it on my phone.
Yeah.
So over a month, I'm like watching and shooting stuff, just really rudimentary on my phone, a little bit off the TV, so that when you're on set, you could go, well, there was one time where they did the spin punch where the fist went the other way, and people go, oh, I don't think they really did that. And then you show them.
Yeah.
Here, look, here's the proof. And then they go, oh, okay. Well, all right. Yeah, sure. And that's a very good Pete Farrelly, everybody. But, you guys come in. What did he say? So every day we'd come in and go, we just throw everything at the wall. Because we had so many weird little segments and things we wanted to do. We just go to Pete and Bob, what if we do this right now? And they go, well, I don't think that fits here. Tomorrow we're shooting that. So, and that was the only way to make the film.
How many shoot days do you guys have for that?
We shot that film for, I think, 3 months.
Man, that's a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Man, I do a lot of low budget stuff, man. So we got 20 days.
Nowadays,
to
they want
to trash out everybody, and you don't really have any true rehearsal time for fights, and it's monkey see, monkey do it. It is what it is. So it's a different kind of environment.
Yeah. Well, I think we were, was it 3? I think the shoot days was like, I think it was 60 days over 3 months, over like 2 months and a bit.
Where in Atlanta?
We were based right out of Atlanta, and then we went all over the place. We were in, we actually shot a scene in Stone Mountain, Georgia, home of Jake the Snake Roberts. It's nice up there.
Badass.
Yeah, it's great up there. We were all, man, actually.
Hey, that's where Jake the Snake Roberts
is
from. From Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Yeah.
6'6" from Stone.
Hey, let's talk about the acting, the Three Stooges, pro wrestling, because you guys knows quote unquote fight scenes or all the bumps and the shenanigans you guys do. There's instances that happen in the ring of professional wrestling where a guy will hit somebody too hard. We call that potato.
Right.
So with all the stuff, the strikes that you guys did, where there was the hammer fist on the nose gimmick, there had to been a lot of potatoes during the film of this thing.
A lot. Well, look, most of them are intentional potatoes because the Three Stooges actually slapped each other.
Right.
Which an open hand slap in your business too is totally fine. You know what I mean?
But it hurts.
Yeah.
If you're going to rack up 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Your ears start ringing.
Yeah.
So, we're open hand slapping the snot out of each other all the time.
And those guys were down with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember we were literally in a dojo. The first time the three of us got together was in Gene LaBelle's dojo in the Valley, and we got on the mat and started rolling around and slapping each other.
Y'all went and hung out with Gene LaBelle for this?
He was there for a minute. He wasn't involved. He was just there.
Oh, that dude's he's the ultimate tough guy.
Yeah, he's just kind of roaming around the back.
So you guys are rolling around over his place?
Yeah, slapping each other around. And then I remember that day we apologized to each other. We said, let's just apologize now. And I mean, it's kind of like, a match. Like, let's go out there and do it. So we all apologized to each other and said, we're never going to apologize in Atlanta. With no sorries in Atlanta, which we ended up saying sorry a lot anyway. But I just remember I hit Chris Diamantopoulos, who's a great guy and just a powerhouse as Mo. And he's an incredible Stooge encyclopedia in his own right. Him and his brother Gus are crazy into the Stooges. And I hit him in the face with a shovel handle that didn't make the movie. I think a little bit of it is in the credits at the end, and it was the wrong shovel. The prop guy, the way it worked was the camera was going to zoom in. I'm using a real shovel so that you see me digging dirt with a real shovel, and the camera pushes in, it gets to Mo, and then on one of the outswings of the shovel, a prop guy hands me the rubber shovel, and in the same shot, I rear back and hit Chris right in the face with what was supposed to be a foam handle, but I gave him a real shovel, and he handed me a real shovel, and just the wrong shovel.
Right.
And I hit Chris across the face with the wrong shovel, which is a little satisfying because he's been slapping me all day for weeks. And I just remember Chris did that thing where you're being a man about it, and he was like chewing his own nose, going, "No, I'm okay. No." He had his hands up, I'm fine. Give me a second. He's tasting blood in his nasal cavity, and or he would slap the crap out of me, and 90% of the time Mo's divvying out the punishment. 10% of the time he gets it. So when Mo was getting it on a day where it's like, oh, we're doing this, Sean and I loved being able to slap Chris, and we knew here it comes, and Chris was like, okay, come on, bring it, and I would slap Chris, pretty damn hard. And it's hey, it's for the movie, but really it's these three friends, not to, just.
But how is it on set? Because this is, you guys are just doing it. There's no sound effects which make it funny.
Right.
So as you're doing it, it's.
Well, I mean, trust me, the sound effects are happening in your ears because you're getting slapped. So you're imagining it'll be better and sweetened when they put the sound effects in. But there's a little bit of the actual slaps still in there. In the real Stooges, too, they would leave a little bit of the original audio in there. They would just layer over so you could hear a little bit of it. But I mean, I remember one time, and this didn't make it into the movie either, although if you look closely, you can see the cut point where they took it out because it was in there for a minute. We get launched over a wall. Sofia Vergara punches us, we go over a wall, which is an old Stooge bit where they use dummies and then they match it to the real. Yeah. So the Three Stooges go over a wall and we land. Now, in order to do that, they launch dummies over a wall. Well, the take that the Fairleys liked, and they've got like a little piece of plexiglass and grease paint, and they're just drawing the outlines so that we can go in there, replace the dummies, and then continue the scene. And then later in editing, they may, help the edges with CGI so that it looks seamless. But very funny that in 2012, you've got dummies that look like dummies, which is so Stooge and very funny. The shoe falls off of the Mo dummy. Chris and I both look at that going, well, that shoe's off. Should probably catch it in the face, right? And he's looking at me, he's like, yeah, I got to hit you in the face with this. So when Curly says his dumb thing, rather than Mo, because in the take anyway, Mo's going to have to be putting a shoe on because the dummy came off the dummy. So it's like, well, what if we, no. And Chris reeled back with the shoe and hit me across the face so hard. They heard it over, where the director hangs out in the video village. They heard it 20 yards away. They heard, poke, this like hollow poke because it came coming out of a shoe hole. Poke. And they were all like, oh, what was that? And it's Chris hitting me in the face with a shoe as hard as he can, but then we got to match that. So a few more takes of that.
So when you go into character, between takes, walking around the set, you coming out of character, you going back to Will mode, what's your method of how do you go about your process?
None of us were like doing that thing where we were in character all the time. It was quite the opposite, actually. And the fun thing about the Stooges is, because it's so jokey, we're enjoying it as we're doing it. So we would laugh we were laughing all day as ourselves, just laughing. I don't think you could do it. Like if Daniel Day-Lewis played Mo and he wanted to be Mo the whole time, I think that would kind of be, it wouldn't work. It would be kind of insufferable because you were laughing all day. So you have to be yourself. And, you get into character faster and faster. I love what I do, and I love, getting into these specific characters. And a thing that started happening for me was I would close my eyes and I could see the original Curly Howard. I would see Jerome Lester Horowitz doing what I was about to do in black and white before I did it, making the choices for me on something that he'd never done before. Because I've seen so much of it that, to me, I can't watch the movie because I watch the movie, I go, who's that guy pretending to be Curly?
Right.
Because I've seen so much, I'm like one of those original fans now who's like, well, I don't really want to see it, but you guys did a great job. You created the illusion, or I thought it sucked, or whatever they say. I'm one of those people who's like, I can't even watch myself because I've seen the original Curly do what I did 1,000 times before I did it.
Right.
And that was... So you could jump right into character doing that. I would literally close my eyes and see him do it.
Hey, what kind of money did those guys make back in the day? Did you ever find out in doing your research? Or
They didn't make a lot of money at all.
Right, I didn't figure they did.
No, they really got screwed. The studio never told them how popular they were, never told them how much money they were making. Mo handled all the money for them.
Right.
He was the accountant for the boys, and he was very fair, and he was very fair. The studio wasn't very fair. I mean, they never had an original set built for the Stooges ever.
Really?
They were always shooting on the back lot and whatever was already used for something else. That was the whole game.
Now, where were they filming this?
They shot. Oh man, they were at the old Sony lot. They were there. They were
Here in
which
town?
was MGM. Yeah.
Okay.
Which used to be MGM, and Sony. Or no, that wasn't MGM. I don't know.
What years did they film that?
They started in 34, I think. The 36 was by the time they started really putting out the shorts, and then they went all the way to 58 with Shemp, and then they became a little more infrequent after Shemp passed away, and then they brought in.
I was such a fan of that show. Every morning before school, man, that was what I watched.
Yeah.
And some people didn't get it. 9 out of 10 did.
Right.
But that one person that didn't get the Three Stooges and
Right.
didn't dig it, I was like, dude,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah.
Is there everybody loves the Three Stooges.
Yeah, you're either if that one kid liked Woody Allen, that
Yeah.
would be the one kid.
Let me do a little of the Curly voice for me before we wrap this
Man, I don't
thing
even.
up.
My voice is kind of low right now. I don't even know if I can. Yeah, I really can't even hit it.
Don't hit it. No, don't force yourself.
It's a. Yeah, dude, isn't that weird? I can't even. It's. Isn't that a letdown? I can't even do curly. I'm curly and I can't do curly.
But
my voice is a little low right now.
It is. I mean, when you roll up today, here's the thing. I was out waiting for you. You sent me the text message. You were going to be late. So okay. I'll pace around in front of the house and make sure he sees me. And because it's a little street, you might not see the numbers. So I'm out there walking around, and here comes a brand new black BMW that I've never seen on this street. I said, "Shoot, man, that's got to be Will." He said he's low riding a new BMW. Right. Car kept going. It wasn't you. Went back in, back out. There's a white Mercedes parked across the street. I said, "Hey, Big Will's hitting it big. He's in a white Mercedes." It wasn't you. Here comes a white pickup truck with a bunch of lawnmowers in it. I said, well, maybe times are hard. Maybe times are kind of tough for Will right now. He's mowing yards to supplement his acting.
Right.
And you finally rolled up.
Right.
And so the fact that you can't do curly, the fact that you're late to my house, you just disrespected the whole
I'm
process.
sorry. This is
That's
terrible.
all right. Don't worry about it.
I'm really sorry.
I'd love to have you back on the show on another date.
Thank you. I'll come at another time. I'll drink some throat coat tea, and I'll be ready to do curly, and I'll be here 20 minutes before, banging on your door.
While
you're not here.
At Will Sasso on Twitter. You have the 10-minute podcast, which is outstanding. I've listened to 5 or 6 episodes. I'm going to catch more. What episode are you guys up to right now?
Oh, I think we're around 170, 180.
Oh, wow. I got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
And it drops Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And the other website we were talking about is?
Hamfatter.com.
Hamfatter.com.
Yeah.
You can check it. Are you like me? I've got a website called BrokenSkullRanch.com, and I haven't updated that thing in 6 months.
I'll tell you what. The last time I updated Hamfatter.com, I should tell your listeners, don't go to Hamfatter.com. No, because literally the last time I updated it, I used to update it all the time. Last time I updated it was the Three Stooges DVD release over a year ago. Yeah. Well, because it's like, it's so weird now. We got so many different Twitter. You could have your Facebook fan page. There's there's
you're
Vine.
on Facebook,
there's
Will Sasso.
Yeah,
He's on Facebook too, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and get another plug in for the kid here.
But all these different avenues, On top of that, you want a website? Like, there's the things that people in sort of our business that are like, well, you got to have this and you got to have that.
Yeah.
And then you got to have if the website doesn't have, I find that the website doesn't have a functionality nowadays, like it's housing your podcast.
Right.
I don't even know what to do with my own. There's no reason to have my own website, but I'll update it soon. So check it out.
Yeah, I've been meaning to update mine too. I ain't going to take it down now that I put some work getting it up finally. So anyway, it is what it is. Hey man, thanks for stopping by the house. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time, but we've never really got to hang out and just shoot the breeze.
Yeah, man, this has been fun.
We got to do something together one of these days, by hook or by crook. Will Sasso, you can follow him at Will Sasso on Twitter. I'm Steve Austin BSR. I want to say thank you to you folks for continuing to support this show by using Amazon.com, because anytime you shop on Amazon.com after clicking on that Steve Austin Show page, you're showing the show a little bit of love, and it keeps me on the air for free. I want to take this time to thank my sponsors who also keep this show on the air for free. Audio Whoop-Ash, opened every single time. Hey, I do this show for the working man and the working woman. There's a sunbuck driving down the road with a chainsaw on the back of his truck, heading out to make a dang living and pay those gimmicks they keep sending in the mail called bills. There's another man driving down the road in an 18-wheeler hauling freight to keep America going. There's a nurse getting ready to go into work and do what she does. There's a doctor lacing them up, washing his hands, getting ready to work on somebody. Man, maybe you don't want to be listening to this show right now, get him too fired up. Bottom line is, folks, I do this show for the working man. I am the working man. You are the working man and women. That's all I got to say. It's been fun hanging out with Will Sasso. It's almost Halloween. I'm waiting on an RV to pack up and head down to South Texas and do some deer hunting for about 2 months. It's going to be a wonderful time of the year. If you need a scope for your gun for deer season, go to bsrscope.com. Check my website, brokenskullranch.com, very soon, because I'm going to be updating the hell out of that thing during the season. You know what, folks, before I leave, I think I'm going to have Will Sasso sit in on a show, a Steve Austin Show Unleashed, because I feel like there's a little more territory we could flesh out by using a little verbal salt and pepper in the form of 4-letter words. Stay tuned for a couple of weeks for Will Sasso to return on the Steve Austin Show Unleashed, where we will open up a can of audio whoop-ass. Until next time, this is yours truly, Steve Austin. I will catch your ass down the road.
Hello, and welcome to Pluto Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, just stream it for free on Pluto TV, where all your blockbuster favorites are landing all summer long. Catch Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Fantastic.
The Matrix Trilogy.
Welcome to the real world.
Mean Girls.
Shut up.
Titanic.
I'm the king of the world.
And so much more. For showtimes, press nothing. They're free 24/7.
That is so fetch.
On Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
Think your favorite theme park attraction is world class?
Well, we're putting that claim to the test on For Your Amusement, the podcast where we exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park rides and attractions. I'm Ryan Bergara.
And I'm Byron Marin. And on this podcast, we'll hit everything from the legendary classics to the newest headliners in full detail.
That's right. The thrills, the theming, the storytelling, the history, and whether they actually deserve the hype.
One attraction at a time, we're answering the ultimate question.
Is it
truly world class?
We nailed that.
No,
I think that's great.
You love it?
Find out on For Your Amusement.
Follow, rate, and review For Your Amusement wherever you get your podcast.
Bye-bye.
What if the stories of gods, angels, and ancient technology weren't myths, but memories of alien contact? On Ancient Aliens, we investigate the evidence, from mysterious ruins to strange celestial alignments, asking bold questions about humanity's origins. Could visitors from the stars have influenced our greatest civilizations? Journey into the unknown and challenge what you think you know about history in episodes like Secrets of the Sumerians, Mysteries of the Maya, or The Chosen. We are not alone. Download Ancient Aliens every Thursday, wherever you get your podcasts.